I love you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Mike on the Mic and Everything Chicago Sports Related Podcast. But today, we're back. We're better than ever. We're joined by Philly's own Mike Powers of Fox Sports. Mike, how we feeling?
Yeah, what's up, man? I apologize. I was lost in the interwebs for a second.
No, it's okay. It was literally, I watched it occur, and I was like, you know what? I could just do an introduction instead.
You did a great job. Yeah, that just shows.
It's okay. It's okay. You just got to give us a shot, and we'll make sure that you guys know that we're one of the best baseball pods out there. You see what I did?
Yeah, you're a pro's pro for sure.
That was
awesome,
Year's, man.
Great job. Happy New Year, man. How was yours? Mine was good. We kicked it at home, played a bunch of board games, and we watched the ball drop. I got a 7-year-old, so she was like, I gotta watch the ball drop. I was like, all right. So we did that. She stayed up for another hour, and I felt like she was jet lagged all of New Year's Day. And then today she went back to school and she wasn't having it.
You know what, though? She's got 366 days to get rest. Don't forget, it's here's a leap year, ladies and gentlemen. You got one extra day to make it count. You guys got to make sure it does because, you never know. You never know. But, man, New Year's was honestly like the complete opposite. You have the 7-year-old girl aspect to where it's like, I need to see the ball drop. And then you get to this weird age. I feel like you're 21, 20 years old where you're like, oh, man, we're going to go out. We're going to drink. We're going to go crazy. Now I'm 23, and I'm like, I just worked. What did I work? I worked like 12 to 9, something like that. And then I just went home, and everyone was like, yo, come over, come out. And I was like, nobody talked to me. I'm getting on Fortnite. I'm playing MLB The Show. Don't speak to me. I don't care. I think, matter of fact, we did a show. We did a Bears live at like 11:30, and I was just chopping it up, and everyone in the comments was like, yo, dude, it's New Year's. What are you doing? I was like, dude, I'm ending it the way I started it. Like, I don't care about the partying aspect. I don't know how you feel about it. Like, Chicago, I'm good. Mike, I'm going to send you this video later of this guy literally driving on a sidewalk. Like, I don't need it in my life. I don't need to be outside on New Year's. I don't know how Philly is, but it's crazy.
Oh, it got crazy. It's not only crazy New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. They have the Mummers. They have the Mummers parade. I don't know if you remember when the Eagles won, Jason Kelce, dressed up in this crazy garb. Mm-hmm. That's that parade. And it just, people drink early in the morning. They were probably still drunk from the night before. And the crowd gets rowdy. And it gets rowdier and rowdier every year. Also, we have a lot of people that, ride motorcycles and dirt bikes.
Terrifying.
And, the cops chase them via horseback. And it's hilarious.
Is that, a planned thing? Or is that just...
Dude, it's Philly. It's a Philly thing. I don't know. It just so happened to be the only vehicle there was an animal, and I guess he's trying to that's Paul Revere style. So
the main reason why dirt bikes are banned in Chicago is for that reason specifically. But they're hell of a ride to ride on though. We still do. It's Chicago's got weird laws. It's basically like if someone's riding a dirt bike and you try to pull them over, you can't chase them. The cops aren't allowed to chase them. But I will tell you this, Mike, before we get into anything. Shout out to Harwood Heights Police because, man, they're doing a bang-up job right now in Illinois. I'm working in Harwood Heights right now. It's right outside of Chicago, the nearest suburb in the Chicagoland area. Man, and this guy, 25 years old, calls me young man, first and foremost, which, by the way, my beard was bigger, so I don't know what we're talking about. And secondly, just did his due diligence, just making sure the mean streets of Chicago are safe and gives me a $65 no seatbelt ticket. So that was a good way to start the new year. And you know what hurt the most, Mike? I have to say it because I haven't spoken this to anybody else yet. What hurt was you have me sitting in my car for 25 minutes while I'm on my lunch break.
Oh
And
no.
he comes back and goes, all right, I'm going to cut you a break. I go, all right. Maybe you just wasted my time. I'm going to get out of this. Hands me a ticket, goes, happy holidays. Mike, where's the break? I turn around like, where's the break? What was the break in this? That I didn't get shot? Is that
Yeah, right. I was gonna say.
that I'm not in jail? Like, it blew my mind. But anyways, welcome to the show. We're 6 minutes in. I love talking to Mike because I can ramble with him for hours. But we got a lot of baseball news to talk about.
Yeah.
And we're going to avoid other police discussions until further evidence and further real court conversations are had. But I want everybody to know because, Mike, I saw in the comments of our last video some people wanted us to talk about it, the Wander Franco situation. I will address. This is not something we're not going to avoid. We just need all of the facts, all of the evidence, and what's going to happen before we conclude anything. I'm a big believer in giving people every opportunity to prove their innocence. And until then, I will keep everybody up to date on what's going on. All I know right now is he's been arrested in, I believe, the Dominican Republic, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And that's all I really know on that. So until then, I promise you guys, we will keep you guys up to date on everything Wander Franco, everything Josh Giddey, and everything else going around, apparently, because it must be a bug going around of being a weirdo. But
Yeah, it's so creepy, man.
it's definitely something. I don't know how you feel, Mike. I don't really want to talk about it till we have the facts.
No, it makes me sick to my stomach. So I'm trying to hold off those feelings. You could only pray that it's not true, right? But also that's hurtful if it is too. So it's like there's no win-win situation in that, obviously. But you just hope that the Dominican Republic takes it as serious as any other country would, and justice is served. And if the MLB seems to be a big company, if they already made their decisions, obviously, hate to say it, but where there's smoke, there's fire, and I hope justice is served.
100%. And I will say this: they did my guy Trevor Bauer the way they did him. They better keep that same energy. Is all I'm saying. As all.
Yeah. I mean, the more you hear about that is, Trevor's into some weird stuff for sure.
And technically proven innocent, still got suspended a year. You know what I mean? Still got blackballed out the league. So they better take this as seriously as possible.
Yeah. Would you want Trevor on the Cubs?
That's it. Thanks, Mike. Thanks a lot. The sponsorships, I just hear them depleting. I'm gonna keep it real, and I'm gonna be as genuine as possible. Yes, I would take Trevor Bauer on the Cubs today. I think, with the conversations that we're gonna have in our next topic, there's other guys out there that, hey, would I take him over him? For sure. But what I see out of Trevor Bauer is a guy who went to court, did it the right way. And proved his innocence. Whether things happened or didn't happen is a whole different conversation, but what was prosecuted was not true. So I do believe he does deserve another opportunity in the league. What is the reason he doesn't is because he keeps talking about Manfred, is because he keeps talking about league officials, because he just loves to argue with the MLB and everybody in the MLB. So I think that's another huge reason to why he has an opportunity.
Based off everything that was written in the press about him as a teammate, it's not the greatest teammate either.
So, the Dodgers said that. The Dodgers said, listen, true or not, we don't want him back in this ball club.
Right.
For whatever reason, I heard the Reds fans say the complete opposite, that he was an amazing teammate. Guardians fans, or at the time Indians fans, said he was a good teammate, but he also wasn't that level yet.
He wasn't that level yet, right. And also, I watched a lot of his YouTube series where he was exposing the sticky stuff in the States. So, he's a great baseball mind. You can't take that past. He knows his craft. He knows his sport. He started messing with it because everybody else was messing with it. And also, in Japan, he struggled in the beginning for sure, but then he figured himself out. And from what I hear, that's a lot harder for pitchers. Based off everything and the rules over there. So, man, I have mixed feelings because in New York, I feel like the media would eat him alive. 100%. And even if he really didn't do anything, they would still eat him alive, and it would just become such a circus. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Mets took him because of that fact.
Exactly.
And I think the Phillies are too smart of an organization to take him, and the Yankees are not touching him. So like in that tri-state area, I feel as though the Mets would be the only ones dumb enough to take that bait, and it would just blow up because of the way the media, the writers, and everybody is. So
Yeah, for sure.
I'd rather talk about, like you said, the other guys that are available right now and I would love to see in the orange and blue.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. And to really just piggyback off that really quick, to any people who are wondering or anybody that's wondering where Trevor Bauer might land, a couple places that I think could potentially have that conversation, to keep it in Chicago, just like you said. I don't see the Cubs touching them. I don't see the Yankees touching them. Maybe the Mets, maybe the Chicago White Sox, who are at this point don't have anything going on. Mike, am I allowed to call them the Oakland A's or am I calling them the Las Vegas A's?
That's a great question. I don't think they know that. I think if you actually played for the Athletics, they wouldn't know that question right now. So like, dude, that is such a heartbreaker. Like it just makes the sport look like it's not evolving, and it bothers me so much. And it goes to the fact why we're more successful abroad than we are currently in the country.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. And Megan Price says, "What about the champs?" She's a Texas Rangers fan. I don't think. I think that's just addition by subtraction. There, I don't think they need him in that ball club. I think they got enough guys going on. Maybe one day Flaherty or not Flaherty.
Yeah.
What's his name? Jack. He's skipping my mind. Jack.
Jacob DeGrom.
No. Minor league.
Okay.
Baby kid. Jack.
Leiter.
Jack Leiter.
Yeah.
I said
hilarious. Yeah.
But if that kid ever figures it out, I mean, the sky's the limit. I don't see them going for Trevor, but the A's, we'll just call them the A's for now. The White Sox, the Mets, definitely teams, and honestly, the Reds, I could see with a reunion. They did not depart ways in bad dialect or anything like that. It was just Cy Young caliber season, got that money with the Dodgers, couldn't be mad about it. It's just another time the Dodgers fleece at all of our favorite players. But somebody I want to talk about that for the life of me, pray the Dodgers don't have enough money to sign. I don't think they do, but you never know. Blake Snell is still available right now. Top of the MLB, the Cy Young, won a Cy Young in the National League and the American League. Mike,
multiple Cy Youngs.
Before we even dive into where he can land, I want to ask you from around the horn just why we haven't talked about him as media enough this offseason. Obviously, Shohei's 1A, not even 1A. He's his own number. He's his own place of what this offseason was in the Shohei sweepstakes. But not even a thought after. You're still talking about Yamamoto. You're still talking about Glasnow. You're still talking about other guys. Why hasn't anybody talked about where Blake Snell could potentially land?
Yeah, it's strange, right? Because like you mentioned, Cy Young's in both leagues, so he proved regardless what league he's in, he could perform. It's going to be a hefty bag regardless who signs him. He's going to get paid very, very well. So it is something that should have been mentioned before. And also, if I was a team that was out of that race with Yamamoto, or I would have tried to sign him on the hush, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm shocked. One, he's not signed yet, but two, he didn't get as much media attention. I mean, and I don't know if it's just because Yamamoto and Ohtani are a global market, so it's kind of fun to talk about them. But yeah, the fact that nobody was having, if I was Blake Snell, I'd feel some type of way because nobody's having me over for dinner, right? So nobody's catering to me. And the Mets messed this up with Stroman, right? They went after Max, and they didn't even talk to Stroman yet. And then they waited for other pieces to fall off, and then they wanted, he goes to Wrigley, man. So that ruined the relationship because you're like, hey, I'm already on your team, and you're not talking to me. You're gonna entertain. You signed Max to at the time one of the largest contracts a pitcher's ever received, and especially at his age, and per year, and you're not even gonna entertain me, and also to go back to the world champs, same thing happened with DeGrom. He didn't feel loved by the Mets, and he said that he was going to go to Texas because they had a better opportunity to win the World Series. And DeGrom was right about one thing. They won the World Series. So it's so disheartening. But yeah, if I'm Blake, I'd definitely have a little chip on my shoulder, and I wouldn't be shocked if he won the Cy Young because of it.
No,
You know, like
like I think, and it's one of those things where I feel like this has always happened to Blake. Like even in the World Series with the Rays, like it was like, what are we talking about? Like you're taking him out of the game. Cashman's taking him out of the game. We're having these same conversations today about him being one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in baseball. And then you just say, yeah, no one's interested. Yeah, we're just gonna wait it out. We'll see what happens. Oh, but he's 30 years old. Shohei's 30 years old, and everybody's giving him $700 million. Everybody's willing to go over five. Like I understand there's levels to it because Blake's only pitching, he's not hitting, and it's one of those conversations to where you have to think, who is he going to be 4 to 5 years from now? The first 3 years of the contract is always beautiful, more times than not, but it's what happens after that is what's very important. But nonetheless, man, I mean, talk to me a little bit about the team that you've been residing with. Obviously, diehard Mets fan, got to get that clear first and foremost. But we're staying in Philly right now. What do Philly fans think about potentially adding somebody like Blake Snell? Is that even a realistic possibility at this point in time?
I don't think so because, like, you know, the fact that they were able to keep their rotation together, you know, and they were able to sign, oh, geez, why can't I think of his name right now? Their ace.
Nola.
Nola, yeah, Aaron Nola. You know, and the fact that, you know, they still have Wheeler. They have a great, Ranger Suarez. They have a great chemistry, right? So would I be shocked if they signed Blake Snell? No, but then that also now adds them to the mix of, you know, the Braves, the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Yankees. You know what I mean? That would definitely put them on a whole nother stratosphere. So I don't see that. The teams I see going after Blake are the Angels, the Cubs, the Giants, Red Sox, who I don't think they're going to do it anymore after what they've done, and the Padres. So. And if Chris Sale doesn't go to the Braves, I would have said the Braves. Like, I wouldn't have been shocked, you know. But I feel as though the Braves, with that getting Sale, are trying to get lightning in a bottle from a former Cy Young, right? And hope that they could do that. So, honestly, I don't think the Phillies need him. Like, I don't, and also, like, it just becomes too much. And I think that, and when it comes to their pitching, like, yeah, you always need pitching, but that ballpark's so weird. You need offense. Like, it's you could be up 10-2 and still lose a ball game there. Like, it's not I don't call it real baseball. I call it like watching slow pitch softball because you're never out of it. You're never out of it. And both teams get that. But if you have an ace, you could literally run them out of town. Like, it could get that bad. Like, unless he's got just strikeout stuff, which Snell does have. But, I mean, he's just – your ERAs are going to blow up, and it's just – dude, every time I turn around. Like, the Mets play better in Philly than they play at home, and it's because of those short porches everywhere. Like, it's just – yeah, it's a bandbox. So it's just that's how I feel about that. I don't think Philly will – and I don't think they have the funds right now. Like, honestly, like getting Nola back was shocking enough for them. They were like, oh, okay. And the ownership seems to push the right buttons, but not the most expensive buttons, So,
right. And it's kind of where the Cubs are at right now. I love that you threw us in there, and I appreciate it truly because I just like to be there. I like to be invited to the dance. I don't have to. I'm a wallflower. I just watch things happen most of the time. It's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Notice I didn't say the Mets, and that's disappointing.
And I know that hurt not to say too, but we obviously know, like, this year, from what you understand and what everybody's understanding, is it's going to be a bridge gap year of just kind of hanging out, playing ball. But I'm kind of not optimistic about Blake Snell to the Cubs. I would love Blake Snell to the Cubs. Don't get that twisted. Please don't clip this. But I just look at a team that's already top 7 in the MLB's payroll. Blake's getting that last bag. That's really how I feel. You know what I mean? Like, he's already done everything else. He hasn't gotten a World Series championship yet, but he's been to the dance. You know what I mean? And he's had the conversations about the super teams and taking cheaper salaries due to that, and it just didn't pan out with obviously guys like Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis, Juan Soto. It's time to get paid, and I think for the Chicago Cubs, you're looking at that and you're saying, okay, so what are we going to get out of this? We already got Ben Brown, shout out to Philly. We already got Cade Horton, Jordan Wicks, and a bunch of other guys. Justin Steele. And you're not even talking about guys who are, in the minors, talking about guys who are on the present team. You got Justin Steele already acclimated. That is a Cy Young caliber guy. He finished top 5 in the voting for the NL this year. So, I think you already kind of have the idea of what you want this rotation to look like in the future. Now, you can always add to that. You know what I mean? But you talked about it a little earlier, the addition by subtraction. The conversation about Chris Sale going to the Braves. Okay, so he's in the 4 slot. So that's
right.
There's no issue with that. But going to the Phillies, that's a totem pole, like I mentioned earlier. And when you start messing with the top of the pole and bringing them down, people start to feel some type of way. And not that everybody would. I feel like if we're trying to contend for a championship, it's fine. But when you're already proven, it's a level of disrespect of saying, I can't do my job. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Like everybody wants to be the ace, right? So like look at the Mets, DeGrom, Scherzer, everybody talked about it. But they never really, they played in the same rotation like 8 games. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. They were on the field for about a week and a half together. Like not even. Same thing happened when you brought in Kate Upton's husband. I'm just teasing. I always call him that. And, and you had Max still. It was like who's the ace? So like you said, that totem pole thing matters. What's cool about Chris Sale, is the fact that, like you said, it will be in that 4th position. And he's playing against a guy who's probably in that 4th seat too, the way everything will match up. So like now you have literally a guy that could be an ace playing against a guy that is, I don't want to say washed up, but he's so that pressure off of Sale could actually pay dividends. Because like if he stays in the Boston rotation, he's probably a number 2 guy. Right. So it's crazy how that all works. As long as, like you said, that person's willing to take on that role. And a lot of these guys, especially when they get older, they'd rather go play. I mean, I think of Cole Hamels, right? He took the big contract, went to the West Coast. He did nothing. So like. Yeah.
The Cole Hamels shade in back-to-back episodes is crazy. He's not helping his case in Philly right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're all happy. They can't wait to have his retirement ceremony or whatever. And I'm just like, dude, I'm rolling my eyes because he left you and he did nothing. And it was always the fear that he was going to go to the West Coast too.
Right.
That scared Philly.
Then he did.
Then he did, but now you're like, oh, come back home, And it's the only thing I could equate to, like how bad Harvey, Syndergaard, like that whole trio, even DeGrom, like it all ended bad.
I have one for you in my Cole Hamels experience. Now, obviously, he did play for the Cubs, but what I mean by that is, everybody when Jason Hayward was here, other than me and maybe a few other cats. Now, I gave J-Hay a hard time because definitely deserving so in offensive production, but I understood his role as a Gold Glover, as a leader in this clubhouse, as a leader in the community. He did a lot.
Big time.
The second he goes to L.A., oh, man, look at Jason go. We love him. Oh, man, so happy for the guy. Man, shut up, bro. Like, y'all hated him when he was here.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I mean, the fact that this guy didn't get reused was fuming. Nick Castellanos is one of the more recent players in trade rumors. We heard about Paul Goldschmidt. We heard about Nolan. But right now, Nick is the focal point of what could potentially be a deal down the line. Now, I'm not manifesting things, but potentially a Mike Trout type deal. You never know. This is a guy who's making $25 million a year. He made $100 million on a 5-year deal. Where are you at right now is from what you're hearing at Nick Castellanos' availability, nonetheless, of what the suitors might look like?
Philly loves to point out when Nick does wrong. Like, they love it.
Love it.
What I like to point out is they literally moved his positioning in the outfield, and all of a sudden he's catching everything, right? Like, so in that World Series run, even last year in the playoffs or getting into the playoffs, he actually made some remarkable plays. Like, granted, he can make he has to dive for like a routine foul ball or a fly ball, but his defense is always the real question mark. And unfortunately, too, his offense with the Phillies, outside of some amazing, memorable moments the year prior in the World Series and the playoffs, it felt as though the money hasn't added up to the expectation. of what they wanted out of Nick Castellanos. So I love him. I think it's hilarious every time he hits a home run. Like he did one on Veterans Day. They were showing a chair that like was reserved to all the fallen
Mm-hmm.
veterans, and then he hits a bomb.
Right.
Like it's just like
Don't forget
yeah.
the horrible broadcasting that happened, and then during the apology.
Oh yes, exactly. Like, dude, it's you could go down. There's at least now 6 to 7 home runs that Castellanos has hit,
Yeah,
and there's been some type of
horrible timing.
dramatic conversation happening, horrible timing, and it's like his claim to fame, which is pretty awesome because I think of him like, although he's a third baseman, but he reminds me of like Robin Ventura. Like he's just oddly clutch. Like Ventura was clutch with the bases loaded. Like he had more grand slams than he had home runs. Like
Yeah,
it felt like that. It was just sick. And same thing. Like Castellanos like has that niche to him where it's like if the broadcast is saying something crazy, it's like he's wired to just hit a home run. But
if I'm
look,
that broadcaster though, Mike,
what's
every
that?
if I'm that broadcaster, every time he's up to
I
bat.
would be reading the obituaries.
Right. I'm just bringing up my childhood traumas all the time.
Yeah. Like
It's crazy.
I would just mention every war, every horrible situation for sure. Like, and me and my buddy, when we go to the game, like we make those jokes why he's at the on the field. Like, I lost my grandma this week. Like,
Right.
like just
Did
seeing
I
if
ever
he'll
tell
hit
you my
one out.
dog died on Christmas? What? What do you? Hey, just stop bringing up conversation, man. It's all.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I just I think the Phillies could trade him and not even miss a step, and that's what's crazy about their situation. And like you said, like if they could bring back a piece that's even more remarkable and kind of create their own super team, like so be it. But yeah, Castellanos like I would be dangling that carrot too if I was Philly.
Without a doubt. And I think there's so much love with Castellanos too. I love the videos of him and his son and how involved he is not only with his son but how involved his son is in the game of baseball. I mean, this kid knows exactly what he's talking about. He's like, forgive me if his son is listening. I don't know how old he is. I think he's like 12, 11 or 12, something
Yeah.
like that. I know it matters to shorties, man. Guys be like, no, I'm 12 and a half. I'm 13.
Yeah,
Like,
for
I don't,
real.
I don't want to. I
Like,
don't want to. You know what I mean? I want no problems with it.
yeah, age is a big deal.
It is. It's
Like,
a huge
yeah,
deal.
you're right.
But
Until it's not. Like, I don't want anybody to mention how old I
oh, man,
am.
now I'm like, man, I don't even know. But it's something to me to where I have a hard time having those conversations about where could he potentially land. Mike, I'm looking at a few teams that could be potentially interested. I think one of them teams being the Toronto Blue Jays. I see a team
Yeah.
that missed out on everything. I mean, the private jet was in the air and then just Malaysia Airlines gone. I mean, it just disappeared into the night. You know what I mean? Now we're watching Shark Tank at 7 p.m. just laughing. But it's one of those things to where I could see Nick Castellanos in the Toronto Blue Jays lineup with Bo Bichette, Vladdy, George Springer, and company. Big Kirko.
Yeah.
A lot of different people might think differently. They might think, oh, well, maybe we'll look at the prospects. They're still in on Cody Bellinger, which we're going to have that conversation next up. But I think someone like Castellanos is still viewed to me as somebody who is 1B or 2 on a championship caliber team. I've always viewed him like that from an offensive production standpoint. When he came into the fold, that was a big deal. I mean, the
Yeah.
2019 season that he had with both the Detroit Tigers and the Chicago Cubs was phenomenal. I think he was batting over 300 across the whole thing. But with the Cubs, he was batting around 300. And then I think with the Tigers, it was a little like 280 or something like that. But so it didn't equivalent to 300, but it was close.
Right.
He was an absolute monster, and I still think there's room for growth. Now, like I said earlier, I have to point out, it was a joking statement. But if you trade the entire farm and Nick Castellanos for Mike Trout, bring home the Philly native, I mean,
Oh.
you kind of have to do it. But I don't think they'll make a move unless it's really that type of move. I could have seen it happen for Juan Soto. I could have seen it happen for Cody Bellinger at the deadline, but I don't see them just taking prospects. That's not where Philly's at, and I that's where I'm at. Where are you with that?
But also for the Angels too, like I don't see like they're in the running for Blake Snell, right? So that kind of you could argue you could build around him and Mike Trout and be pretty successful, right? So I don't
Would
know
you,
if they. What's that?
could you though? If you couldn't do it with Shohei, you think you could do it with Blake?
Well, like it would be an addition by subtraction for sure, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like kind of like you still have one of the best baseball players to ever
Right.
live on your team, and it's like it would be nice to build around. But yeah, Mike Trout in a Philly uniform, that's a super team, bro.
It's
That'd be sick. And do I think Castellanos and their farm could bring it? Yeah, but then like you said, they're in a win now 4 or 5 years
right.
and then they got to figure out how to re-sign Trout, right? And keep him there as long as they have Turner and Harper. So my only other issue is eventually Trout's going to need to play first base, and it sounds like Harper's already going to be playing first. So then
Right.
you're going to end up with all these old men. A good problem to have if you have 3 or 4 rings
Mm-hmm.
and banners because of it. But it's I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough. I think you'd honestly have to see where the Angels play and the rest, and then also the value of Nick Castellanos only goes up as all these other free agents leave the market,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I think that's the biggest issue the Philly fans have with Castellanos is all of his production. Like you said, he hit over 300 home runs. He was batting over 300. They have not seen that in a ballpark that should have catered to his talents. You know, so I just they expected the production only to go up, and it's kind of fell flat. So
Yeah,
uh,
most definitely. I think, and here's the thing. So we talk about LA all the time, just like miraculously going to be able to figure out how they have over $1 billion in this payroll over the
it's
next
crazy.
plus years. But like,
Yeah.
I don't listen. No disrespect, because I'm a man that currently has like $300 in his bank account. But yeah, I don't see the Phillies organization being able to take on Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Nola, and then Mike Trout.
Right. Right.
That's a big penny. I mean that's like you said, 3 or 4 banners. That's fine. And let's be real, Mike. I mean, the jersey sales might be able to make up for that by themselves.
It's
But
fair. And they'd also have like crossover Trout Eagles jerseys too.
mm-hmm.
Like the dude is loved here. Like it's insane. Like and he's there. He's at all the games. He's got his house on the West Coast now, which might change it. So he's not like Todd Frazier came back to New Jersey after every offseason. Trout's not doing that. He also lives in a completely different tax bracket as far as the money he's made in the MLB. But he's not. He comes to the games. He likes the Eagles. But and the Philly fan base has a soft spot for him. But as a kid, Ken Griffey, it actually was like 10 years or the anniversary came up. I think it was like 15 years of this happening, or maybe even 20 at this point. But in '99, so do the math. Yeah, so 25 years ago.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
working.
that's terrible to say out loud. 25 years ago to like this offseason, Ken Griffey vetoed a trade to the New York Mets. And it would have sent like Roger Cedeno and a few other guys to Seattle for Griffey. And yeah, man, it's just hurtful that he vetoed that trade. So it's
At least it was an opportunity though. You know what I mean? Like with the Yankees, it was like, yo, bro, like I'm not going there.
yeah, at least he entertained it.
Right.
Fair. But also, like, we didn't disrespect him and his father in the dugout. So, like, yeah, the Yankees.
Six was made, man. Six
That's
was made.
one of my favorite quotes, and I think about that whenever I'm like jealous of like a Yankee fan. Is that he said he would if the offer was only from the Yankees, he'd retire. And I truly believe that, like, which is remarkable. But yeah, man. So I didn't get Griffey. I don't want them to get Trout. Like that was the one that got away. Piazza was weird as a fan. Like it was just like one, I was a huge Todd Hundley fan,
Mhm.
and two, like he went to the Marlins for like a day and then came to us. It just sounded like some backdoor shady deal. Like I
Right.
just remember baseball starting. I'm a kid, and then like 2 days later we have Mike Piazza now, and I was just like,
Right.
What? Like, how did that happen? Like,
100%.
like,
That was me. That was listen. It's not the same magnitude, but like you love these guys. You grow up watching them, and I always said I compared my game to Billy Hamilton, and it was so
okay.
unfortunate because
Yeah.
I wasn't a Mike Trout, I wasn't a Bryce Harper. I knew my role. I'm a speedster. And grab my bags, play my defense
Mhm.
in the outfield. That's all I'm doing. But I love Billy, and when Billy had his small tenure and stint with the Cubs, I was just like, man, this ain't Billy Hamilton, man. This is some 33-year-old guy in a Billy Hamilton jersey. And I was so upset. Mike,
No.
bro, the next season he goes to the White Sox. Billy
Yeah.
Hamilton has like 3 weeks of like being a GOAT. Like
Yeah.
absolute monster, absolute stud, vintage Billy Hamilton. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I can't have shit in this world. I can't have nothing. You guys get. I would kill for 3 weeks of Billy
Yeah.
Hamilton MVP Cubs jersey. Like that's really where I'm at. But transition time. Our last serious topic, because we do have one final topic of a this or that. I'm really excited about that one. I need Mike's opinions on this because honestly, I go to Mike for all of my needs and necessities. He's my guy. He's my spokesperson. But this one's near and dear to my heart. Could potentially be a Philly near and dear to their heart. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. See how they start moving. There's a lot of teams interested right now. Cody Bellinger is still on the market. Probably if not the highest regarded free agent right now. I think obviously we just talked Blake Snell, but from an offensive production, you have to look at Cody Bellinger and say this is the guy. Now there's question marks to where he can go. Obviously, if you saw that graphic, it's either going to be Chicago or Toronto. That's what's been rumored, but there's still guys out there. I mean, the San Francisco Giants would literally kill a man just to get somebody in free agency right now.
Yo, they lose everything. It's them and the
Every
Mets. It's
it's
them and the
it's
Mets.
it's
And
but the Mets at least it's
yeah,
something, like
you could say that, but then they had to trade him away because So yeah, they won on Max, they won on Verlander. I keep wanting to call him Mr. Upton.
he
So
is he
there,
is Mr. Upton though. Shout
yeah, I
out to
love huge Kate Upton fan.
a
Like
huge Kate Upton fan.
day one Kate Upton fan. So I was so excited thinking that she was gonna rock all this Met gear for the next 2 years. Maybe I'd get press credentials and be able to like awkwardly wave to her one day, and I could have rode out to the sunset. Like my career would have been done. But no, in all seriousness, like it kind of negates all that when you had to trade it away. And thank God for our friendship because I wouldn't have gotten through those weeks without you reassuring me and your skills in the minor leagues of letting me know what the Mets did get in return. But they bought those, right? And they bought them with freaking once in a lifetime players. So so hopefully they pan out. But
I will say this though, once in a lifetime players who just like Billy Hamilton on the Cubs haven't
right.
been playing to that level.
Very fair, very fair.
So
Max just announced he's out for next season. I don't know if you saw that. So you got DeGrom and him out for the Rangers, and the Rangers
but
still hold
they'll
the
take
third.
it. They'll take
Yeah,
it.
they'll take. I'll take it too.
I would take it. I
You
would take
kidding me?
it.
Yeah. So when it comes to Bellinger, though, there's still a lot of guys still, on the market that I think could help or hurt depending on if they start signing. So you got Matt Chapman, Rhys Hoskins, JD Martinez, Soler.
Soler's a big one.
Yeah,
That's not talked about enough,
yeah.
but I think it's a big one.
Jock Peterson too. So like there's a lot of hitting, and then you could go to the next. Speaking of a guy that hurt my feelings, Justin Turner, who figured out how to be absolute all-star the minute he left Queens.
He's hurt my feelings more times than I think he's hurt yours. I will say that. 2017 NLCS, I still see the Flying Dutchman in my dreams all the time.
My God, yeah. No, yeah, we got past him. Luckily in 2015, right? Yeah, because the whole Utley thing. But yeah, it was it's just it's crazy to think because like the reason why Justin Turner left the Mets was because David Wright, just signed a huge contract. He's like, there's no place for me here, and then David Wright plays like 30 more games after that, like if that, so it's just it is what it is. But to know that the Mets are debating on bringing Justin Turner in now, it's just like that same Hamilton type feeling. Yeah.
Without a doubt. And, we kind of had a similar situation with that when we brought in Ben Zobrist and company. That was Jorge Soler. Jorge
Yeah.
Soler was like, all right, they got Albert Almora Jr. when he was still in his prime, which, by the way, shout out Al. I just saw he picked up an overseas contract, which was really cool. I'm definitely going to have to follow that because I always wanted to see that kid win. He was one of those guys who, like, you ever see those posts where it's like, name a guy who you thought was going to be the next big name and just didn't, like, become that, but you still root for him. And I was like, oh, that's Albert Almora Jr. 100%. Like, I thought
Yeah,
he
that's
was
fair.
the guy. But you also had Kyle Schwarber there. You had Ian Happ coming through, Jason Hayward and company. I mean, it was just Dexter Fowler. It was just too deep. And, you have that conversation, though, and I love what you mentioned, though, is, there's so many guys who are going to affect this. But you know where I'm going to disagree with you? And I think it's a totally different conversation once you hear it. Who's the face of the franchise out of those names? Matt
Yeah,
Chapman.
no. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say is like his value will go up
Right.
once. Like it's weird. Like you're almost playing like poker. Like so those names like Bellinger is the face for
Right.
sure. But those
MVP, Gold Gloves, like,
yeah,
he has it.
those names if they take sweetheart deals could downgrade the amount he's won't able to
Right.
get, or the reverse. Like right, oh like Turner got even 2 years, 18 million. You'd be like, oh, I'm worth way more than that. So
Right.
like it's a game of chicken right now on the hitting side of baseball. But yeah, I agree. Like Bellinger, like dude, I'd love to have him. I just think it's just for the memes alone. It's
Is that
hilarious.
so? Is this Phillies, Fox Philly, Mike Wallace,
No,
or
yeah,
is this
no.
New York?
This is New York Mike talking. Yeah, this
Okay,
is
okay,
the fan. I like him. I know our outfield's not our only cause of concern for the New York Mets, but it'd be dope to have. I mean, like you said, he's a face, like for sure.
yeah,
Just a very passionate guy, clutch. Like if he was in pinstripes, they'd already have his number retired. Like
yeah.
that, he's that kind of guy where like they'd be like making stats to make him look even better. Like it
Mm-hmm.
just So I don't want to discredit him, but like I said, it's such a weird market because like I said, like Justin, like the fact that Justin Turner's in it and
Right.
like you don't know how many more years that guy has,
He's
but
like what,
also you're like
39?
yeah, 39. Yeah, so like probably 2 more years, maybe
Maybe, yeah.
three if he's lucky. But also like he did all right in Boston, but it wasn't Justin Turner of LA.
Right.
So it's just there's so many guys in there, and Rhys Hoskins is the one that I look at if I was to get, especially if I was a Chicago Cub, like and I didn't get Bellinger, like that is
Right.
the guy that I'd be like, you know what, I'm okay with that. So
Right.
I think yeah, as you go up to the guys that are closer to a Bellinger,
Mm.
hitting wise, that conversation starts to change. But again, if Reese gets scared and takes a sweetheart 1 year deal to prove himself because he was out all last year,
Right.
then Bellinger's stock might fall down. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's one of the most exciting. It is the most exciting guy to watch and see where he lands. So
Yeah, most definitely. And that's the exact comparison that you're making is how Bellinger was last season. He takes a sweetheart 1 year, $17.5 million deal because he just. I'm not going to blame that on injury. I'm just going to say injuries played a role in that, but also just
yeah,
kind of wasn't playing up to par to what we've seen before. I mean, this is a guy, you look at him, a 2020 World Series champion, should be a multiple time World Series champion in my opinion. That's neither here nor there. But you look at him having that playoff experience, a two-time All-Star, a Gold Glover, an MVP, Rookie of the Year, NLCS MVP, two-time Silver Slugger, and then you look at what he was able to do this year. I mean, first of all, when the Matt Mervis experiment, which I'm not going to say failed because I still believe Matt Mervis deserves a lot more credibility for what he's been able to do in his short time with the Cubs. You're in a span of 1 year, you put him in single A, double A, triple A, major leagues, and you're like, why isn't he batting 300? Oh, I don't know. Maybe let him wipe his ass for 5 seconds and figure his life out, and then maybe we could get consistent production. And David Ross also
yeah.
can help that starting Eric Hosmer and Trey Mancini the majority of the time. But regardless, Cody filled in at first base when the Cubs needed it. Center field, he filled in when we needed it before the summer of Mike Talkman began. 97 RBIs, 20 stolen bases, OBP of 356, slugging 525, OPS 881. And then you have a guy batting 307 and 499 at bats. If he doesn't get injured against the Astros earlier, I believe in April, late April or early May, you're looking at a guy in over 500 at bats, batted over 300, led the team with 26 home runs. Like, Mike, here's my thing, and not to go on a little Cubs rant. Like, listen, if the Blue Jays want him, good for you. If the
Right.
Mets want him, hey, shout out to him. If other
Uh-huh.
guys want him, that's fine.
Who
And
don't
that's
you want him to go to?
right. But it's when I look at the Cubs, you every single year you say, yeah, we're moving with purpose. We're moving with an identity. Okay, cool. Shout out to the Mets. We got PCA, #1 prospect. Shout out to the Phillies. We got Ben Brown. You drafted Cade Horton. Kevin Alcantara is a monster. The Jaguars are a freak. Mike, if you haven't checked them out, I'm gonna send
All
you some
right.
videos. Monster. You have Dansby Swanson. You have all these other guys. You have the pillars. That's great. But when you think Chicago Cubs baseball, if you're still thinking about Chris Bryant or Anthony Rizzo, you have, part of my language, you have a fucking problem.
Yeah.
You need that face of the franchise, the guy who has posters and banners around the entirety of Wrigleyville on opening day. That's Cody Bellinger, the #1 selling jersey. It can be Justin Steele. Don't get it twisted, but should it be Justin Steele? In
No.
Chicago, in that market, even when
Right.
John Lester was here, Jake Arrieta, you still talked about Riz, you still talked about KB and Javi. That's just what it was. El Mago all over. If you ever been to Humble Park on the west side of Chicago, that man is Puerto Rico. Like, that man is
Yeah.
repping the whole west side of Chicago. Like, and that's where it's so important to get a guy like Cody. You do not win 83, 84 games of whatever, however many they won without Cody. It just doesn't happen. The tear that he went on in that summer, people want to sit up here and feed you this line of crap of, well, the exit velo was at an all-time low, 26 home runs, batted 307. Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Don't
Like,
make it into something it's not.
let's
That.
be real.
Yeah. Somebody just had a quote the other day. Like, I hit a ground ball to the shortstop and I beat it out. It still hit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just
Care
like
how he does it.
I'd take 1,000 of those. You know what I mean? Like, that's, yeah. It doesn't matter. I don't want to know how the cake was baked. Just let me eat it.
Thank you.
So yeah, just bake it and let's go. So now I'm gonna be praying that you get Bellinger because man, I feel like I don't want to have the next episode where we're together and Bellinger's like somewhere else. Like, I'm hoping, but you're right because like you need something that brings people to the ballpark and those diehards can have because in the worst years, Wright and Reyes, right? Like that's my Riz and Bryant, right? Like that's what it was. Now it's Alonso Lindor. Like, like you always have staples that bring you there. So
and it could be, I want to say again, make it clear, it could be Nico, it could be Dansby, up the best up the middle defense in baseball. That's cool.
yes.
But
Yeah.
who's the guy who, listen, in today's baseball world, I have to be real. I have to be frank. This isn't to make fun of the guys who maybe don't spend over $200 million on a payroll a year. It's fine if you're okay. Never mind. It's not fine if you're the Oakland A's, but it's fine if you're the San Francisco Giants. It's fine if you're the Toronto Blue Jays. But you have to look at yourself in the mirror every day and say, the Dodgers are cracked out of their mind. The Atlanta Braves are cracked out of their mind. The Padres on paper are cracked, but they don't know what they're doing. But they're there. You know what I mean? And you have to acknowledge that. You have the foundation to make it make sense. You look at the Phillies. Man, okay. Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos. Oh my God. Brandon Marsh. I love these guys. JT Realmuto. I love these guys. Without Bryce Harper, without Trey Turner, I'm literally not even looking at that offense. I don't care. You know what I mean? Because Kyle Schwarber will hit 2 home runs in that game and you'll lose 3-2. That's really like that's how I feel about it. And Brandon Marsh will look great while he's doing it because that man's beard is beautiful. But and let me not just talk about the beard. That man's whole everything.
Yeah, it's great, dude. He had like the little painters, little like I don't know what it's called, like the what is it called? Like the kids wear them, the little like
the suspenders.
Suspenders, yeah, thanks. Like, but the full like jean.
I haven't been a kid in a while, Mike. You can't ask me these questions.
Yeah, no, like I was thinking Oshkosh Bagosh. I didn't want to say it because I knew there was a grown up version of it, but I just couldn't get it out. And yeah, I'm a little tongue tied. It's dude. Today's the first day. Like we're all back to work today and stuff, and like from the holiday. So And people are responding to emails in the corporate world and in the sports world. So like today, like I'm just mush right
No,
now.
yeah, no,
I couldn't remember Aaron Nola.
that's literally
So
how I was on New
yeah,
Year's Eve when I was working. Like, I'm not,
yeah,
no jokes. It's not a funny conversation, but I'm so serious. Like, I thought I was having an aneurysm. Like, I thought
yeah,
I work at a grocery store right now, and
yeah.
I'm literally like, so many people are talking to me. So many people are asking me this. Like, he asked me if we had Chinese broccoli. I'm like, what?
Right.
So I'm trying to like make a sentence talking to my guy Matt, and the words I said, Mike, I literally, as soon as I said them, I'm like, that's not what I wanted to say at all. I don't know where it came from. I don't know where like these words even came out of, but like, I'm like, oh, is this the big one? Is this it? Like, I was losing it. But
I've
before we
been
get
there,
out of here,
brother. Yeah.
I got a good one for you. I'm excited about this. I felt like when me and Mike start our pod, we can definitely do more of this or that. I'm excited about it. Our first one, Mike. This is not only just from a player standpoint, but just around the ballpark. If you aren't a player, you're just a fan, that's perfectly fine. You can still play this game as well. The first question, this or that, seeds or gum during a game day? Where are you at?
Yo. So fun fact. I had like an allergy as a kid,
Oh,
right? We couldn't figure out what it was, but my throat on the ball field would clog up sometimes. So we kept thinking it was a sports strings, right? And then one day my mom saw me in the dugout and I'm spitting sunflower seeds, but I never digest them, and she's like, maybe it's the seeds. I was like, nah, I love these seeds. It's not the seeds. Refused throughout my entire high school career. Anytime I ever played, I would still chew seeds, but I would just like literally like chew it with the shell
mm,
and then spit it all out. So I never even ate the actual seed, which is weird, and everybody thought I was a weirdo for it, right? Because normally like you bite it, like
yeah,
everybody would be like, bite it, eat the seed, spit out the shell. I'm like, nah, I chew it and just spit it all out. They're like, yo, that's absolutely disgusting.
that's
Well, thank
probably
God
why you didn't have like serious problems.
thank God. Yeah. So fast forward, I'm dating this girl named Jen that I eventually end up marrying, and her mom makes like this parfait, like dessert. And I'm not a sweets guy. I don't normally eat dessert. First couple times at the house, I had to eat it. She sprinkled sunflower seeds on the top of it. Never thought of it. Just ate it. Dude, I almost died. So I have to go with gum because I can no longer have sunflower seeds. So
It's crazy.
uh, yeah, it's nuts. So I'm allergic to sunflower seeds, and now because everybody's being like a little more healthy or alternative oils,
Mm,
like all these chips, all this stuff is using sunflower oil.
mm.
So like, but then it also says may contain sunflower oil. So I have to like literally eat one chip, see if my mouth starts to like close up, and then decide if I could eat any more.
Horrible.
So
That's horrible. Dude, that's literally okay. So like crazy that like we're the same person. I feel like. And when I was, my mom is like full blown Irish. God bless her, amazing mother.
awesome.
Love her till the day I die. But she missed one thing, and she always gave me peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I was always like, this tastes weird. I don't like this. Like this, I feel weird, and nothing would ever happen. And that was probably one of the biggest like red flags because it's like, okay, well, he's not going to anaphylactic shock, so he's obviously not allergic to it. Not getting puffy, not nothing's happening. And a young Mike Hughes just failed to tell people that his tongue would feel weird whenever he ate peanut butter. And I would do this for years, and I just never like. I would always tell people like, I don't like peanut butter. I don't know why. I just don't like it, and I wouldn't eat it. So fast forward, it's like last year, and like we're getting chicken pad thai from Ruck, which is like right over on Milwaukee, over by my crib. And it's, man, I love chicken pad thai, bro. Chicken pad thai is
Yeah.
bomb, but
Yeah.
sometimes they put peanuts in it, and I
Yep.
always say no peanuts. They messed up, put a couple in there. I was like, man, and this is like the third time in like 6 months that I've told people like, man, keep eating peanuts on accident. It happens to be in something I'm eating. And they're like, I always feel weird. And they're like, dude, you're fine. You're tweaking. You're an idiot. Like, stop. My sister, my mom. My sister's the one saying you're an idiot, not my mom.
Yeah.
But I'm like, dude, like something's wrong. And they're like, no, dude, like you used to eat them when you were a kid. You're fine. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Then I get an allergy test. And they're like, hey, here's I forgot what those pens are called.
Yeah.
Anaphylactic
They
shock
take the
pens.
yes.
Like,
Yeah.
you need to hold on to these. I was like, why? They're like, okay, well, first you're allergic to trees. I was like, what? They're like,
Yeah.
not badly. They're like, you're just a little, you got allergies. And I was like,
Right,
oh.
right, right, right.
They're like, but have you ever eaten peanuts? And I was like, I have eaten peanuts. They're like, what happens when you eat peanuts? I go, oh, my throat gets itchy and my tongue's weird. So then I go take a nap to feel better. And they're like, okay, so next time don't take a nap because you could die at any point. You're very deathly allergic. Mike, when I tell you, bro, I walked out of that hospital room or that room, and I was like,
Yeah.
I was lit. I was like, I can't wait to tell everybody, make everybody feel horrible. I was like, I could have died. Like,
Yeah, you tried to kill
I
me.
was literally, I told you I felt funny. Like, oh man. But our next one, this one's near and dear to my heart because listen, I have pride in this. I don't care what anybody says. You can clip it. I'm a glizzy gobbler, Mike. I'll go to a baseball game and I'll have 3 hot dogs a day. No problem. No ketchup on the dog. But
I was gonna ask that. No
nah,
ketchup. Yeah,
listen,
thank you.
won't tell nobody, all right? But it's actually really good with ketchup, but I've been told not to, so I didn't. But it's
Yeah.
good. It's when I was a kid, I used to always put ketchup on a hot dog. And I turned 7, and people started telling me I was weird, so I stopped.
Right, right.
Now I'm grown.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's good on the bread. It makes the bread taste better.
it makes it like silks into the bread. It soaks into it. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm not a big mustard guy either. Mustard's not bad. I wouldn't say mustard's good. Like,
Right.
I don't know, but
Once you start diving into like the German mustards and stuff, you could find good mustard.
really,
Like
see, I
yeah,
always
but
do
like
like the
stadium
normal.
mustard,
Yeah,
like it depends.
it is what it is. But in this one, hot dogs or nachos, Mike, where are you at with it?
Bro, at a game I want the dog. Like it
need
just
the dog.
adds. Yeah, at a game I want the dog. At a restaurant I want the nachos. Like even
100%.
yesterday we were at like Top Golf or whatever for New Year's Eve, and I asked I was like Peyton, they have 2 hot dogs like and fries. Like you want to split? We'll get it together to my daughter, and she's like, no, I want nachos. Like, but if we're at a game, she wouldn't even had a choice. You know,
A
especially
dog.
like, dude, the Phillies do Dollar Dog Night. I don't know if you ever seen any of the viral videos. People just throw them at it. They have glizzy fights. Like they're just throwing them. The Philly captain buys like apparently like he knows somebody at the concession. He just buys $100 worth of dogs and hands them out to the crowd, like
Nah,
for
bro.
people who interview him. It
Could
is
you imagine, Mike? Ninth inning.
yeah,
You're
right.
exhausted. You got work tomorrow. It's a 6:30 start. You yawn and a glizzy just.
They keep them in the wrapper when they throw them, which is kind of cool. And like I always joke, like they just pick them back up and then resell them the next. Like
I believe it.
No, but also like there's a life hack. They sell a $2 hot dog at all times in the
Okay.
kid area, like where they have the little wiffle ball field for the kids. So like I was like, yeah, Peyton, let's go get a hot dog. So we get a hot dog together and it's $4. So like that's a great deal at a ballpark, you know,
Chicago
for
Cubs
two
are like
dogs.
750. Like, come on.
Yeah, yeah. So all the other dogs around there, but if you go to the kid area, they got ice cream, cheap, like $4, and the hot dogs are a little smaller, but the same ones they give out for dollar dog night, they're smaller than the footlong dogs. But yeah, I'm going hot dog, man, all day long. I love those glizzies.
I'm going gummy hot dog. Bro. But no, I love that's like actually really sick. I'm gonna have to come on a hot dog, a
You
dollar.
got to. It's normally on Tuesdays, and
Okay.
that's when I have my baseball gambling show. And Jansen, the guy who helps produce the show with me, we're always mad at each other. We're like, dude, we have to stop doing the show so we can go to Dollar Dog Night. But apparently they're gonna release the dogs in the next couple of weeks, and we'll know the dates ahead of time,
Release
and
the
I'll get them
dogs.
to you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm definitely coming down. Definitely coming down, especially when we start up our show, man. But
Yeah. Yeah.
this next one, I feel like as a player, as a fan, somebody who's done both. Now, mind you, I'm not a great player, but I was a player. You know, you get different experiences when you're a player because the guys in the bleachers are just, when I played in the outfield, brutal. When I played, you know, when you're up to bat, you get some hecklers, but, you know, when we hear high schoolers just like killing you, you know, in the outfield, just laying out in the lawn chairs, you know, it's horrible. Or even, I'm not even going to lie, sometimes it would just be parents of opposing teams.
Yo,
They'd
I
be
was
like,
gonna say it's mostly parents.
they'd be like, hey, yo, 18. I'd turn around and be like, you fucking suck. And I'd be like, all right, I have a torn labrum right now, sir. And he's like, I don't care. And I'm like, okay, sorry. But bleachers or stands? Where are you at as a fan where you would rather, and I want to set the scene, okay? No disrespect to Mrs. Powers or your beautiful daughter. But a
Uh,
single Mike in his early 20s, where would Mike want to rather be? Because I understand the family atmosphere of the stands, but you also have to understand the wildness of the bleachers at Wrigley Field. So where would you rather be at?
Yo, it depends on the ballpark. Like in Wrigley, I want to be in the bleachers, like
Right.
for sure. It's an experience. Even in Yankee Stadium, bleachers creatures are crazy, right? I would want to experience that. When I'm just trying, like, if I'm watching my team, I want to be left alone. Like
Right.
it's kind of hard. Like my wife is a trooper when we go to these games because I'm kind of like I am not a dad at that point. Like I am a fan. I'm invested, but also like it's like kind of like a personal connection. I get too deep into the game for sure. So if I'm trying to, dude, I've toured with the 7 line to Pittsburgh. We sat in the bleachers, amazing time. Like it just really depends on the thing. And even with the Phillies, I like they have this rooftop bleacher area which like only like 100 people could sit.
Mhm.
I go up there. I like they're like, dude, your ticket's awesome. Like go sit in your ticket. I was like, I like being up there. So it really depends on the vibe. Like honestly, but to heckle or do any of that stuff, I'm not that kind of fan. So I'd rather honestly be, I'm not the scorecard guy, but I'm close. Like you
Right.
know what I mean? Like I'm just that entrenched. Like
No, that's
it's
kind of where I'm at. Like, okay,
yeah,
so I don't know if you feel the same way. I will not keep a scorecard unless like we're in the World Series. Then maybe I would. But
uh,
I'm in a place to where it's like I will go to a baseball game at a 120 start by myself, sit in the
yes,
nosebleeds, and just not talk to anybody, or
yeah,
maybe like make one friend, and like I end up being best friends with like a 70-year-old man by the end of the day, and like that's really where I'm at. Like I'm not a bleacher guy. I love the bleachers. I love, the cup snake, and I love everything we do. And I used to work at Wrigley, so the cup snakes go hard. Security hates
right.
it. The cup snakes go hard. I've definitely contributed to way too many cup snakes. But you have those conversations about like, man, what's my favorite experience? My favorite experience is just sitting there and watching the beauty in the game. And
Yeah.
I have no other experience other than that. Now, if I'm drinking, which I don't often, um, or really ever. And so I just kind of just
Good for
hang out,
you.
and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I used to, Irish Italian kid from Chicago, like from ages 12 to, and this is not promoting this to any kid out there, but just saying from my experience, from ages 12 to 20,
Yeah.
weekends were pretty lit in the baseball season, football season. So, you get those conversations going, and then once I hit like 23, I was like, I don't want to go out. I just want to go watch, Sunday night baseball, Sunday night football, something
Hmm.
along those lines. But Mike, man, it's our second episode. I,
Yeah.
I love this, man. I love this. I mean,
I love it too, bro.
you
Yeah.
haven't checked out already, you have to give us a shot. You have to give us a shot, network. You have to show Mike some love. Fox Sports Philly does a lot of things over there as well. Mike, do you have anywhere else you want to get promoted really quickly before I share this all out?
No, that's it. Stay tuned. We're gonna keep doing this stuff, and like you said, work on our specific show. I'll try to get some graphics, see if you like them, and
I'm gonna
we'll
love it.
keep doing this, bro. So yeah, that's it, man. Plug us, Mike and Mike. No, I'm just
Hey,
kidding.
Mike, come on, Eminem, come on, we in there. We are in
I
there like swimwear with the Eminem. But man, it's
love it.
always a blessing, bro. It's always a blast. You guys can follow me at the shy.kid on TikTok, which, by the way, shout out to everybody on TikTok. First video of the year got 180,000 views. It was literally a
Yeah.
10-second video. I didn't think anything of it. It was literally just letting people know the Bears were eliminated. And like, it's just been such a blast. 14.5 thousand followers. And I just want to say again, like I said in my last video, how much I truly appreciate every single one of you guys, because without you guys, I wouldn't have met Mike. Without you guys, I wouldn't have met so many other amazing people. In the next hour, before I get out of here, because I have to plug it, because I know I will forget to post about it, I'm interviewing former Tennessee Volunteers, GBO, Go Big Orange, and now double A prospects for the Minnesota Twins and the Washington Nationals, which, by the way, shout out Trey Lipscomb really quick before I say anything. Gold Glover this year, which is really dope. We're going
Yeah.
to be interviewing Trey Lipscomb and Jake Rucker with my guy Jim Cross at Pros and Joes. You guys can find that on Facebook or on In Off the Bench podcast. Until then, I will check you guys out later. Stay beautiful, stay lovely, have an amazing rest